The honourable member for Beaches East York.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Much reference has been made this evening, Madam Speaker, to the Auditor General's report, Chapter 2 of the spring report with respect to replacing Canada's fighter jets. And I understand, I've heard the government say that they agree with both the recommendations and conclusions of that report. Could the government please confirm that for us tonight, please?
Madam Chair.
I'm sorry, the Honourable Associate Minister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, indeed, we have adopted the recommendation of the Auditor General, and as a result of that, the Secretariat has been put in place. There's a seven-point plan going forward, and we're striving to ensure that we provide the answers that the Auditor General has required.
Member for Beaches East York.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And in that report, did not the Auditor General conclude that this government had made a decision in 2006 effectively to purchase the F-35 fighter jet by virtue of its signature on the 2006 Memorandum of Understanding?
The Honourable Associate Minister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No decision has been taken with regards to the purchase of the F-35. We are committed to ensuring that we continue with the joint strike fighter program along with our other 8 partner nations. We will follow through on the recommendations made by the Auditor General, and decisions as yet have not been made with respect to replacing our aging CF-18s.
Honourable member for Beaches East
Madam
York.
Speaker, I don't know how the Associate Minister can say that they accept the conclusions of the Auditor General and then stand up and say that they are in fact rejecting that conclusion of the Auditor General, that a decision was being made. But that's one decision point, Madam Speaker. There's another one too, and I quote from the Canada First Defence Strategy, which the Parliamentary Secretary was just quoting or referring to, and it says through this plan, based on a detailed assessment of requirements, the government is committed to renewing the Force's core equipment platforms. These will preserve maximum flexibility in countering the range of threats facing Canada and include fighters starting in 2017, 65 next-generation fighter aircraft to replace the CF-18s. The only next-generation fighter aircraft, according to this government, is the F-35. So here we have, Madam Speaker, yet another decision point of the government saying that they are going to buy 65 of these jet fighters. Could the government please confirm that for me?
The Honourable Associate Minister.
Madam Chair, I'd like to confirm for the Honourable Member the following. We do obviously have a need for fighter aircraft, and our new fighters will have to operate in an increasingly complex threat environment, characterized by the proliferation of fighters on par with our current fleet, advanced surface-to-air missile systems offering better detection, greater range of action, and increased lethality, and integrated air defense systems designed to denied access. And, Madam Chair, those decisions will be made once we have the answers that the Auditor General has requested in his recommendation.
The Honourable Member for Beaches East York.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's two decisions, or 2 times the government made a decision to purchase the F-35 that we all know about, but there's a third one, at least, Madam Speaker, and that goes back to July 15, 2010. I know I've seen pictures of the Minister of Defence hopping in and out of the cockpit of a model F-35 jet and announcing at a press conference on that very day that this government has made a decision to buy the F-35, 65 of them, in fact. Could the government please confirm that that actually happened?
The Honourable Associate Minister.
Well, Madam Chair, if I may again, I would like to remind the member that no decision has been taken. We are awaiting, as recommended by the Auditor General, the response to his concerns with regards to various issues. A secretariat has been put in place to develop independent response and validate those answers, if you will. And, Madam Chair, no decision has been taken. I don't know how many more times I have to keep repeating that.
Honourable Member for Beaches East York.
Well, Madam Speaker, we're really down the rabbit hole on this one because all of that has no credibility whatsoever. That's 3 times that we are all aware that the government made a decision to buy this fighter jet, and then they even named that very secretariat that the Associate Minister has been referring to, the F-35 Secretariat. But let me start on a new line of questioning, Madam Speaker. How many DND and Canadian Forces staff have been assigned to the Joint Strike Fighter Office in Washington, D.C.?
The Honourable Associate Minister.
Madam Chair, I don't have that immediate answer available, but we'll undertake to provide it to the member opposite.
The Honourable Member for Beaches East York.
Madam Speaker, the Associate Minister has ample resources with him tonight to answer that very simple question, and I expect an answer this evening forthwith. I'll give the Associate Minister another opportunity.
The Honourable Associate Minister.
Madam Chair, it appears that we have 5 staff members assigned.
The Honourable Member for Beaches East York.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just got to push a little bit, it seems. Madam Speaker, could the Associate Minister or anybody from the other side please describe for us the assignments of these 5 staff persons? What exactly do they do there in the JSF office? Thank you.
The Honourable Associate Minister.
Madam Chair, thank you. They are basically working alongside our partner nation personnel. There's 8 other countries involved in the development of the Joint Strike Fighter program. Our people are working in those particular areas, and I don't know what more I can answer.
The Honourable Member for Beaches East York.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Every year, the Joint Strike Fighter Office in Washington, D.C. provides Canada with what are termed bilateral cost breakdowns for the F-35. They provide those to the Department of National Defense. They're based on the selected acquisition reports, which I have here from December 31st, 2001, very comprehensive, lengthy, detailed document. Is our staff involved in the preparation of this Canadianized costing data?
The Honourable Associate Minister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The answer is yes.
The Honourable Member for
Madam
Beaches
Speaker,
East
in how many years have we been receiving these bilateral cost breakdowns from the Joint Strike Fighter Office?
The Honourable Associate Minister.
Madam Chair, thank you. To the member opposite, Canada has been a partner in the development of the Joint Strike Fighter in the program for the last 15 years, dating back to 1997, when the Liberal government of the day engaged Canada in this particular project, which we are continuing today.
The Honourable Member for Beaches East York.
Madam Speaker, is that to say that we have been receiving bilateral cost breakdowns from that Joint Strike Fighter Office for 15 years?
The Honourable Associate Minister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Apparently, the cost, the reports have been coming in since about 2001.
The Honourable Member for Beaches East York.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, that's interesting. We've got over a decade's worth of Canadianized costing data coming right out of the Department of Defense in the United States. Can the Associate Minister please let me know whether these bilateral cost breakdowns include life cycle costs?
The Honourable Associate Minister.
Madam Chair, the program is led by the Americans. The definitive costing, Canadian costings, is really what the Auditor General has recommended. We are following through on his recommendation, and this is why we have put in place the Independent Secretariat who will, in fact, assist us with those answers. There's a 7-step action plan in place. All of these things are part of what was recommended by the Auditor General with respect to Canadian figures.
The Honourable Member for Beaches East York.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I can confirm that the Auditor General has identified the existence of these bilateral cost breakdowns. It's paragraph 2.67 of his report, page 26. My question, however, Madam Speaker, was whether those bilateral cost breakdowns that come out of the Joint Strike Fighter Office to the Department of National Defence include life cycle costs. Thank you.
Honourable Associate Minister.
Madam Chair, as we know from the Auditor General's findings and report, these are issues that he wished to be determined. He made a recommendation to that effect. We are diligently working to comply, and to that end, Madam Chair, the honourable member should be respectful of that process, as we certainly are.
Honourable Member for Beaches East York.
Madam Speaker, we've had 11 years of bilateral cost breakdowns by the testimony provided by the Associate Defence Minister tonight. I have a very simple question. In those 11 years of bilateral cost breakdowns, are there or are there not life cycle costs? Or is the Minister refusing to answer that question? Thank you.
The Honourable Associate Minister.
Madam Chair, the honourable member opposite needs to again reflect on the Auditor General's findings, his report, and his recommendation. There are issues with respect to how figures have been compiled and reported. There's some discrepancies as he identified. We are endeavoring in a responsible, systematic way to make determinations which will help us make decisions.
The Honourable Member for Beaches East York.
Well, no kidding, Madam Speaker, and that's exactly why we're here tonight, and that's exactly why I'm asking that question, and that's exactly why I expect a forthright response from the Associate Minister of Defence, because the time is over for hiding those costs. The Auditor General has identified for all of us the fact that there are bilateral cost breakdowns that are put together, now we know, with the help of DND staff that come to DND every year and have been doing so for 11 years. And I want to know this evening, Madam Speaker, from the Associate Minister of Defence, do they or do they not include life cycle costs?
The Honourable Associate Minister.
Madam Chair, I would suggest that the honourable member not get too excited, because he's liable to get the same answers to the truthful requirement of being respectful of the Auditor General. And the budget for the F-35 acquisition and sustainment are based on actual detailed estimates, calculations of which have been in dispute. There's no order, no decision made to acquire the F-35. And we're working diligently, as was recommended, to determine those figures so as we can make informed decisions, Madam Chair.
Honourable Member for Beaches East York. Order, please.
Madam Speaker, if that Associate Minister had half the respect for this House that I have for the Auditor General, then he would be answering this question tonight forthrightly. It's a very simple question, Madam Speaker. Do those documents that we have received for 11 years, and there's lots of help sitting around the table here tonight, any one of them can answer, Madam Speaker, do they or do they not include life cycle costs, yes or no?
The Honourable Associate Minister.
Madam Speaker, in my earlier life, I felt that citizens were respectful of due process and others, and I would suggest to the member opposite that maybe he should exercise some of that. But in any event, the same recommendation also asked the Department to start full life cycle planning for the preferred option in the definition phase of its project management process. Again, Madam Chair, a lot of these things are in the works as per the recommendation of the Auditor General.
The Honourable Member for Beaches East York.
Well, these things have been in the works for 11 years, Madam Speaker, with costing data, Canadianized costing data, put together with the help of Department of National Defence officials, and I have a very simple question, and perhaps this member who's speaking out now has an answer, but we also, I would note, have the Chief of Defence Staff around the table. We have the Deputy Minister for National Defence around the table. Surely someone on that side of the aisle will answer this very simple question for us tonight, or are they all refusing, Madam Speaker?
The Honourable Minister, there's about half a minute left.
Madam Speaker, I know the honourable member is having a Matlock moment and thinks he's in a court of law. I want to clarify that these costs have been available to our department since 2006, and they do not include, and the important nuance here is Canadian life cycle cost, Madam Speaker, Canadian.
Resuming debate.